Hello everyone, it's Mr. Barden here. Today I'm going to be going over kind of everything you need to know for the Twine unit of the digital storytelling course. This is going to be a comprehensive video, so I'm going to kind of break up the important sections down below in the timeline so you'll be able to find something you need specifically and then just jump right to that section. Or you can watch the whole thing for an overview of, again, everything you need to know for this unit of the digital storytelling class. So let's jump right into it. So I've got on the screen here the Twine page. This is, again, when you type in twinery.org, link will be in the description. It will bring you to right here. You can download it, or you can just use it online. For this course, we use it online, but again, if you wanted to download it, you can check that out. Once you've used Twine, you'll notice that your stories will start to populate right here. If this is your first time ever using the page, there won't be anything here. So the way Twine works is that it is able to save everything as essentially HTML data in your browser. All right, so all of these stories are essentially stored in your browsing data on your computer. So you have your account on your computer, but it's not really an account. So you'll notice I didn't log in. You don't log into this. It's saved to the browser. So if you ever go to a different computer or you wipe your browsing data for whatever reason, you will lose whatever is saved in your Twinery. That can be a big problem. In order to save your stuff, I recommend every now and then you can hit this little archive button on the side here. And what this will do is that this will take all of your stories and save them to a local file on your computer. You can do this individually as well. If I wanted to, go into here, say publish to file, where'd it go? There it is. That would save just that one individual story, whereas archive will save all of them. If you look at these files in any kind of viewer that's not the browser, it'll just look like a whole bunch of HTML code. So you can then just go in and import from file, find your files, drop them in, they'll pop up right here. That is a great way to back up your files or move them around to be able to work on them in different places. One thing to note, though, is whenever you archive or publish to file, you're going to have this issue. It's going to take a copy of whatever your story is at that time, and that's going to save it to a file. So it's not the file that gets downloaded is now different from the story on the web here. Any changes you make are not going to be reflected in this file that I'm metaphorically holding in my hand away from the computer here. All right, so this over here is different than these. So any changes you make aren't in the file, and if you upload them and make changes, you then have to re-download that file to see those changes and work on them on a different computer. That's just how files work. You make copies, and then the copies are two different entities. So let's look at this. There's a few other things, again, just kind of basic information. One thing that's important to look at is the Formats button, and I'll tell you what, I'm actually not doing it right now. Let's highlight my mouse. There we are, a little easier to see. Is this Formats button right here on the side of the screen. And basically, this involves a little bit of coding to use properly, and there are different formats that interpret the syntax of what you type slightly differently. For this course, when I teach it, I use SugarCube. So check and see if your story is acting weird. Maybe it's in the wrong format. And whenever you're looking at reference material, be sure to check to make sure that you're looking at the documentation for the correct format. All right. Everything else on this page should be fairly straightforward. You've got that help here that I mentioned, that documentation. So if there's anything not covered in this video you want to look at how to do, as always, you can put something in the comments and I'll look into how to do it, or you can look up what it is you need to do just through that help. It's kind of like a Wikipedia page for Twinery. All right, so let's make a story. Again, you can see these graphic representations of stories here, but I'm going to make one from scratch. So story, add a story. You have to give it a name. And this is going to be something that's going to come up a lot during when I'm typing this, particularly with variables. But don't just go, because you're not going to know what that is. Give it some kind of descriptive name. Even if you're working on an assignment, this is the Conditionals assignment story. That's fine. You know what it is. Your teacher knows what it is. It's useful. Do that. Don't just button mash. Especially when you have a bunch of them like that, you won't really be able to tell them apart. So this is a Twine demo video story. Something like that. Hit enter, and it makes the story. Got a few things here. I'm going to move my camera up just a tad. There we go. Just so we can see the whole toolbar at the bottom. So down at the bottom here, a lot of toolbars. I'm going to briefly go through what this does. It's going to be nice and short. Hitting the home button takes you back to the home. You can now see here's that story we made. If I click on it, it opens it back up. There's the name of your story, and if you click on it, you have a bunch of different options right here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the important ones are the publish to file, rename, and change story format. Those are kind of important, and I think they're all fairly self-explanatory. I already mentioned the publish to file. When you start adding in a bunch of passages to your story, you can very quickly search through those. That's what this little bar down here is. Over here we have some zoom levels, so you can zoom in and out as far as you need. I'm gonna zoom back. There we go. There's the debug mode, and I'll look at that a little bit more when I talk about conditionals, but this can be useful when something doesn't work right. Playing the story starts it at the beginning and works its way through. Adding a passage creates one of these, a new passage that isn't linked to anything. This is one of several ways to make passages, and it's fairly useful. The only thing is it's not linked to anything. As we'll see in just a second, linking things is how we're going to move around through our passage, through our story, from passage A to B to wherever you might want to go. Whenever you create the links, it's going to automatically make the new passage or automatically connect it to wherever you need to go. So this is the environment here we're working in, and we start off by default with just an untitled passage. We can click and move it around and arrange it however we want, and I think this is a great tool for visualizing how you want your story to flow. Everyone works differently, but generally speaking, I like to start kind of up the top left here and work my way down and out, and sometimes back in or around. It depends on the story, but generally speaking, down and out. So I start up here, and I can always change this later, but you have a few options. One is to delete your passage, edit it, start your story from right there, but this opens it in debug mode. Notice it says test your story. And then a few other options, mostly just changing whether or not your story starts at a specific passage, and then how big, how to display it on the screen. You can tell where your starting place is if it has this little green arrow icon right at the top. You can also, as it says on the passage, double click to edit it. So I'm going to double click it, and we get this window here. You can add tags to your passage if you start having a lot of them and kind of group them into categories. That can be useful. I'm not going to do that for this one, but you can do that, and you can search all of the passages. Right. One thing that I will always recommend you do is give your passages a title. When you start linking to them, they'll automatically generate your titles. However, if you just add a bunch of them, it's going to be untitled passage 2, untitled passage 3, and so on. It's very hard to tell them apart, so I give them a name. I generally just start. That's how we go from there. Start. And from there, you get the message, double-click this passage to edit it. I can then erase that, and you get a few little instructions. And this is where you start typing out your story. So this is gonna be a very, very, very boring, but hopefully instructful story. So this is where I'm gonna start making the passage, and in just a second, we're gonna start making links. That's gonna be kind of the next section of this. So let's make a passage. We already have this one. We can type whatever you want. This is the beginning of my adventure. I want to become the world's best competitive hot dog eater. This is the story premise one of my classes came up with, and I thought it was so, I won't say funny, but it was over the top enough that people started to get the concept. So I'm going to stick with it for this video of eating a grossly unhealthy amount of hot dogs. I do not condone the amount of hot dogs this story is about to make us eat. So let's keep going. This is the passage. I'm going to close out of here. You'll notice that the text on the screen has updated to show what it says inside of the passage. If you hit play, it will open up in a new tab, the story. And we can see whatever text we type is now being displayed right here on the screen. This little window, we can navigate forward and backward through passages as we need. You can save states and restart your story. You can just hide that out of the way if you don't need it. But this is how we'll be able to check that our story is working properly. So let's close out of that. Now let's make a link. So to make a link, if you noticed it when I had no text at all, it said you could do that by encapsulating things inside of the two brackets. And that's how we make links. So I'm going to say, it's time to bracket, start my training. And there we are. I'm actually going to move the exclamation point here. I don't like having punctuation in my passage names. It just gets a little confusing and hard to remember, I think. But it's time to start my training. This is going to be a link, and you'll notice that it is encapsulated in the two brackets. These are the buttons generally kind of right above your return carriage key on your keyboard. Just the square brackets. And you'll notice the notation for a lot of these things have you doing it, two symbols in a row. This is going to tell our computer to do something. This something is going to be linked to another passage titled Start My Training. This is the text that's going to be displayed on the screen, and it's also the name of the passage we're linking to. But you'll notice we didn't make a passage called Start My Training. You don't have to worry about that. As soon as I click out of this box, Twine is going to make this passage. So if I close out of here, boom, we get this second passage right here. And you'll notice that graphically there is an arrow. This shows that start is connected to Start My Training. And then the little points of the arrow show what you can move to. So we're very clearly moving from start to Start My Training. So as we start having more and more complex link setups, we will be able to see more and more different kinds of links and arrows and arrangements. And that's what I'm going to be doing right now. So for starting my training, I first need to go and buy some hot dogs. I'm just going to make another link. Let's go to the supermarket. All right, so out of there, I'm just going to link to another passage called supermarket. Again, you could have whatever text you want to have displayed here, but this will be the link. If I close out, we have another one called supermarket. I'm just going to play the story real quick, and you'll notice that the links, the words that we have displayed in the brackets, are now blue. And you can click on them, and it will take you to the next one. In this case, we went to the supermarket, and then I just haven't typed anything in here. So what I've set up right now is what I call a linear progression. So we're moving directly from A to B to C in a straight line. There's no branching, there's no looping, nothing fancy. It's just A, B, C. That's it. I call that a linear progression. What I'm going to do next is branch out the story. All right. So let's see here. I have just gotten to the supermarket. I need to find my supplies now. So let's see. Hot dogs are to the left, and buns are to the right. I don't want to waste space on condiments. I'm just going to make this a capital letter because that'll bug me. All right. So what I've done now is made 2 links in a single passage. You can have as many links in a passage as you want. So as soon as I click out of here, you'll notice that this splits out. We have now split or forked or diverged our story into 2 possible timelines. One where we go left to get some certain ingredient, one where we go right. This one doesn't have a whole lot of implications. It's just kind of showing the concept. So let's see. What was to the left? Hot dog wieners were to the left. All right. I see the wieners I enjoy are in stock. Let's put them in the cart. All right. So I'm going to say put them, one too many brackets. Put them in the cart is going to be a link right here going into its own thing. From over here, we'll say they only have whole wheat buns. Looks like that is what I am getting. I want to specifically show you, this is a cool feature. If I hit the brackets and start typing out the name of a passage, I hit P. And this menu here will pull up every passage with a P. And you can start typing out the name and it'll autofill whatever you want. So I can hit down and hit enter and it will autofill this passage here. So if I click on it, I now have 2 different passages linking to the same one. So I've been able to split and come back. So you can link from one passage to as many others as you want, and you can link from however many passages you need to back to a single one. This is an effective tool, and then just for doing that, you can very easily find the passage you need and autofill it right there. So let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Put them in the cart. I have some of the ingredients I need. I should go back and get the rest. All right. What I want to point out here is an effective tool. So what I'm going to want to do is link backwards in my story to a previous passage. I'm going to want to go to the one called supermarket. But it doesn't really make sense to have the word supermarket as my link here because I'm already at the supermarket where display. There's no way that phrase will naturally come up with the plot of the story that we have right now. So what I'm going to show you is a really nice tool for setting this up. So I'm going to make go back my link. However, I want to go to the supermarket passage, not another one that just copies the supermarket and all that. I don't want a bunch of unnecessarily identical passages. It's pointless. If I hit the vertical line key, which if you hit shift and the button right above your return carriage, you get the vertical line, and then I can just say supermarket. That's the name of the passage. So I'll keep this on the screen for just a second while I explain it. I have two items in a link. The first part right here, go back. These are the words that will be displayed. The second thing, supermarket, that is what you're actually linking to. So let's look at this though. I'll click out of here and you'll see that here we are. So we go to the supermarket and we can either go left or right to grab our hot dogs or buns, and then we put them in the cart, and then we want to go back to the front of the supermarket, so that way we can go find the other thing and get that there. Theoretically, at this point, you can have an infinite loop where you get an infinite amount of hot dog buns. We haven't set up anything in order to make that a little more realistic. Don't worry, we'll get to it. But for now, we're going to set that up right there. All right, so let's say that we've got that. I should go back and get the rest. I'm going to add some stuff here that will eventually make a little more sense once we start adding in variables and conditionals. But I'll just go ahead and add in the text right here, so that way when we're testing the story, we can progress on. I'll just say, looks like I have everything. Time to pay and go home. All right, so we're going to pay in our story here. So my hot dogs cost, let's see, I'll say $2 per pack, and my buns cost 85 cents. 85 cents per pack. We're getting the cheap stuff. This is a large quantity of food. My total cost is, I'm going to put a blank here for now. The next thing I'm going to talk about when I'm done with links is creating variables, all right? And that will be something we're going to come back to this in just a second. Time to go home and time to go home and make some hot dogs. All right. So we had a little branch and a loop, and now we're back in some linear passages going home. So let's set this up here. We're home. Hot dogs. Or let's say, I am starving. It is hot dog time. Oop, two brackets to make our last little link here. So in hot dog time, I'll say, I need to eat a lot of hot dogs in order to become the hot dog champion. So far, I have eaten. Again, this is where a variable will come into play. Let's keep eating. All right. So I'm going to have keep eating right here. This is going to be our link, but I'm going to link specifically to this passage that I'm already in. Hot dog time, and this one has an exclamation point, even though I don't like doing that. All right. So I've got this set up, and you'll notice that graphically it loops right back to itself on the corner here. So when we get to this passage, we'll be able to link and keep going through it again and again and again. It's like a smaller version of this previous loop right here. So that'll happen right there. And then let's say, ugh, I am so full. This, again, will have some options and a little more interactivity later when I talk about conditionals. I'm just laying the groundwork for right now. Ugh, I am so full. I need to go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. I'll say, much better. It's hot dog time. All right, we're back at hot dog time. All right, this is going to eventually be pretty much I'm going to make one more ending story, actually, from here. That was a good way to spend the day. I know I will be the champion eventually. Actually, I'm going to change this up a little bit, and I'll only say good way to spend the day. Could use a nap. That's what I'll type here. So nap, that's going to be its own thing, and this will be the end of our story. Nap, end of story. Time for bed. I will have to train more tomorrow. Good night. All right, that's what I'm going to do. End of our story right here. So one thing I want to point out, this story only has one ending point, but you can theoretically set this up so your stories have as many ending points as you would want. There can be a variety of branches. No one playthrough of the story has to line out the same way. In this one, I'm just showing specifically one ending, just so we can clearly see A to B to C. All right, so this is going to kind of wrap up links. I'm going to come back in just a second in order to talk about variables. I'm just going to kind of reorient myself, adjust the plans. I'll be back in just a second. And jump cut. So through the magic of video editing, I was able to condense my little bit of planning and dinner break down to no time at all. However, if you are the kind of person who is interested, you can see how much time all that took in the real world, because you can see my clock right up at the top of the screen. In fact, if you are that kind of person and are mildly interested, I didn't check when I actually ended this recording, so feel free to do the math and put that down in the comments below. I'd be interested to see how long it took me to throw together a quick dinner and eat it. As other creators say, comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. All right, let's get back into it. So earlier in the video, I talked about this code right here, and we kind of built it up in real time using links, showing off different ways that you can set up your links, and you can move forward and backward. You can move from one link to as many as you need, from any link to another one. So you could have a bunch of them all going to the same place. You can go forward and backwards. You can have one link for linear progressions. You can loop back and even make a loop to the same link that you're already on. Things like that. You can get really flexible just with links. However, there are better ways we can implement additional things in order to have slightly more interactive stories. The first thing we can do is set up variables, right? And that's what I'm going to do right at the beginning. I'm going to make some variables that will make our story just a little bit more interesting. So let's go into here, this very beginning. So to make a variable or tell the computer to do anything, we have to open up a command on the computer. And as we'll see in just a second, the commands are not displayed on the screen like this other text that we have typed is. And what tells the program, hey, this is a command, are these symbols. All right, we have, just like the links, the double symbols, the kind of caret symbols or the angled brackets, things like that. You have two of them. So you open it up. A lot of times you'll, if I'm typing this out, I'll say to myself, open, as I hit the key, just so I know I have enough. But whatever I type in here is going to be a command for the computer to execute. So there's different little command words we can use for different things. In order to utilize a variable, we need to say set. All right, if you don't have this, the computer won't necessarily know you're talking about a variable. That's just the way this program happens to work. Other programming languages all work slightly differently. This is just how Twine with the sugar cube notation works. So we say set. So we're going to set a variable. But what is a variable? Well, one way I like to think about a variable is as if it is a container of some kind. Do I have any with me right this second as I'm kind of going through here? I have a cup full of pins. So let's say this is my my variable, this cup. It is currently containing pins. I can, in my code, look at it and say, yep, there's pins in there. Or I can say, there's pins. Let me use the pins in my code somewhere else. I can also take out the pins, and there's more pins in here than I can actually take out. I have tiny hands. But I could take them out and put something else in there. So let's take out the pin and put in the spray. So I've put that in my variable instead. It's essentially just a way to save some piece of data in our code's memory with a unique name. We can then refer back to that data with just by calling out the name of the data. And wherever we use it, it will just fill in whatever is stored in the variable. Where this becomes powerful is we can update and change whatever is inside of our variable at any time. If I'd have thought ahead, I would have brought like a Tupperware or a lunchbox, but you can even use like a toolbox or something as this metaphor. It's just you put one thing inside of another, you use it however much you need, you can then take it out, put something new in. Again, this is all metaphorically speaking. This is a bunch of data we're working with. So let's get into making this variable. So we've already said set. So the next thing we need to do is say the name of the variable that we want to set. To designate, this is a variable. In this programming language, we start with the $sign. And this just says, hey, the rest of this is a variable, all right? This is how we're going to utilize it. You can name your variable anything you want, right? However, as you'll see as we start using this, doing that is a very, very bad idea. Don't do this, because you're not going to know what that is. Like, who can tell me what I'm going to use this variable for? If you have any ideas, put them in the comments. But no one knows what this is. You, other people looking at your code, no one's going to know what that is. And computers are very, very literal. So you're going to have to say, hey, whenever you want to refer to the data, type out the name exactly as you have spelled it in this variable name. So there's a difference between example and example with a capital E. Again, these are all very literal ways to type out these names. So give your variables a name of something that describes what it's going to be used to. I'm going to say money. That'll be it. So that'll be, because we're going to the store to buy some stuff, we're going to need the money variable here. So let's say, let's just say I have 1,000 money. Set money to 1,000. Close out the command line. We have now told the computer, put the value 1,000 in here. And then we can just refer back to this anytime we want by typing out $money. So to see that, if I was to play the passage from the beginning, we can see we typed out $money, but it automatically fills in that value. This is where things can become useful. So I'm going to remove that. Let's also make a few other variables that I think will be useful. Let's say set $hot dogs 8. How many hot dogs we're going to eat. Let's keep track of that. 2, 0. Close the command line. One thing to point out is that whenever you make a variable, it's one word. All right, no spaces. If you add a space, the computer is going to separate them into two separate things. So if you want to have a variable that's multiple words, you'll utilize something like this that's called camel case, meaning the first word is lowercase and every subsequent word is capital. And this condenses multiple words into one thing, but you can still tell them apart. It's called camel case because the top of the letters, the capital ones, make a little hump because they're taller than the others. Computer coders are very lonely, so their jokes are very bad. So that's just why it's called camel case. The main thing to take away is hot dogs 8. That right here would not be a valid variable name, and the computer would not know what to do with this ATE right here. So hot dogs 8, it's going to be 0. Let's see. Let's do one more. Set $mood to, I'm going to say excited. That's what I'll pick. Close. You can essentially store any piece of data you want in a variable. You can hold just about anything. We can hold one thing at a time. That's some important stuff to kind of keep in mind. But it can be a number, and that's very powerful. We can do some math with that. But you can also set it to a selection of characters, a word to display, essentially. This is what's called a string. And if you put those in quotation marks, and then whatever you type inside of these quotation marks will be stored exactly in the variable. So you can run some tests and stuff later on to see what's inside of a variable. You can have things respond. You can have it display a phrase or a text that can change as we go. We'll see that as we work our way back through this story, adding in variables. So let's start with here, just right here. I think this is a good starting place. You have to do a few things with your variables in order for them to be useful. You have to make them and give them a value. That's what we've done right now. But then you have to use them in your story. Otherwise, why on earth are you making these variables? Quit wasting my time. So let's move on. We don't need to do anything in this this passage, I think. Let's get into the supermarket. This is what I want to do. Well, I can do this a little later on. Let's say, let's add some more here. Set dog price to, what did I say? 2. I think it was $2. I'm gonna adjust it in a second, anyways. Set $bun price to 0.85. Close. All right, so I've made a few more variables, so that way when we come in here, we can set some stuff up. So let's say pay. Let's see, my hot dogs cost, instead of 2, I'm gonna say boop 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 $dog price per pack. My buns cost boop boop boom $bun price dollars per pack. My total cost is some stuff here. So we can do a little bit of math that will make everything pretty useful. So to do that, let's throw in a few more variables. We're getting a lot of practice with variables. So let's see. Let's put them in the cart. All right. So let's see. Let's say set. Let's see. Dogs to 0. Set dogs plus equal 5. All right. Actually, let's adjust this a little bit. I'm gonna change set dogs to 0 to happen way at the beginning when we're gonna go to the supermarket. All right, just so things don't fight each other. So I've set the amount of hot dogs we have currently bought to 0. So I've set that there. Anytime you use this kind of method, you are taking whatever is inside of the variable, it could be anything, and replacing it with a specific value. This is powerful in its own right. However, it becomes very hard to keep track of something as it progresses naturally, like setting up money or an inventory system, as we're doing right here. To do that, we can do some math. So you'll notice I say set dogs plus equal 5. What this means is we're going to set the dogs variable, the amount of hot dogs we have put in our cart, we're going to add to its current value. So it started at 0, we're going to add 5 to it. So it'll, by the end of this passage, dogs will, instead of equaling 0, it will be 5. Because we have this loop of going back and picking up more and more hot dogs, we could theoretically bump this up more and more. So let's say $dogs, just to illustrate this. I'm going to play this from the beginning. All right, start the training. Again, the commands to set all the variables, we aren't seeing. They're happening in the background. So I'm going to go to the supermarket. All right, we're going to go to the left and keep picking up hot dogs. You see 5 now. We've put 5 in the cart. I'm going to go back and get some more. Go back. Now it says 10. Put them in the cart. Go back and get something else. Go back and get hot dogs. Now it says 15. You can see where this is going. So we have all of that right there. So let's see here now. Boom, 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 to the right. Let's put them in the cart. I'm not going to refer to that just now. So let's see here, doing the same thing. Set $buns plus equal 5. So we just have to beforehand set $buns to 0. All right. So you have to have made the variable before you can add or subtract something to it. You'll run into some errors if there's not a number value in your variable and you try to do some math. All right, so we've done all of that. So once we get into the cart, looks like I have, let's say instead of everything, let's say I have $, buns, and $, dogs, wieners. Time to pay and go home. All right. We'll make this a little more interactive later, but I'm wanting to just display all of this as we go. So we're going to pay. So let's work out the price. All right. Let's see. My hot dogs and buns cost all of that. So I'm going to go to the previous passage and do a little bit of math at the bottom. So let's say set cost to 0. Let's see, and I think I'm going to try something on the fly here. We're going to find out if it works. Cost to, let's see. Yeah, that was, buns. The amount of buns, excuse me, times, what did I say? Bun cost. The dog and bun price. There we go. All right. Dogs plus again, I'm trying some of this on the fly, doing a little bit of math. Basically, again, just like in a command line, we can, that should be times. There we are. We can just type in the name of a variable and it will fill in the number right there. So again, I'm trying this on the fly. So I just made the variable and then we're going to adjust it based off of how many hot dogs and buns we went through the grocery store grabbing. I'm going to test this in just a second and we're going to find out. This is a horrible way to go shopping, but we're experimenting with these variables. Supermarket. Go left. Put them in the cart. Go back. Go left. Put them in the cart. I now have, as we can see on the screen, it's keeping track of how many wieners and buns I have. So let's go back. This time we'll go right. Get some there. Got that. Let's go get a few more buns. Oops, and I forgot to say $. I forgot to actually use total cost. Is total cost. There we go. And I'll fix this typo. There we are. All right, let's try that again. So I'm gonna pay and go home. And I think it didn't quite update, so let's just restart that. Try it one more time. Boom. Boom. Just gonna go grab one of each. Yes. So this all worked right here. So what I've done, again, to break this down, that's the wrong passage. To break this down, I have said, hey, the total cost. I'm going to start it off at 0 because at this point we haven't bought anything yet. And we're going to set it to how many buns we bought multiplied by how much each bun costs. In the case of this, it's 85 cents per pack of buns. And then same thing here, the amount of dogs we bought times how much they each cost. In this case, it's $2 per pack of hot dog buns. I should say I have blank packs of buns and blank packs of, just so we can say that it's a little clearer right there. That's what we have there. And that's where that number, that in this case 1425, came from. So theoretically, we could go back and grab some other things. When we get to the pay, let's see. So let's say set $money to, or I'll say money to, and let's say set $money minus equals. We are now subtracting from whatever's currently inside of money to minus equals total cost. All right. So this will subtract from our total budget of, I believe it was $1,000, whatever the total cost was. So there we have all of that. Time to go home and make some hot dogs. Let's see. I'm starving. It's hot dog time. That's fine. Let's leave that there. Hot dog times. So far, I have eaten. Here's where this other variable will come into play. We'll say hot dogs ate hot dogs. All right. So here we are. Let's keep eating. So we have the option to keep eating, or not. Again, we'll make this a little more useful later, but let's pretend we've eaten some hot dogs. So we'll say set $hot dogs ate plus equals 2. We'll make this be 2 at a time right here. All right. So we're going to do all of that. Let's see. And what else can we do? Hot dogs 8. Ooh, let's also do this. I'll say set $dogs left to, let's see, whatever's inside of $dogs. All right, so we can say we have $dogs left hot dogs to eat. All right, so we'll put all that right there. So now, as we go, this will eventually go through right there. We'll loop this together, and every time we're going to increase the amount of hot dogs we've eaten by 2. But we're also going to set $dogs left minus equal to, so that this way we'll also say we have this many hot dogs left that we can eat. So let's keep eating. I have let's see, it was dogs left to eat. Okay. So let's wrap this up. Much better. Let's also just say set, this was a $hot dogs 8 to 0. All right, so I'll let you decide what happens in the bathroom, but eventually, after you go, you've been able to eat. You've removed all the hot dogs from your system, so you can keep eating. So I'm setting that back to 0. So we'll say it's hot dog time. And I'm going to add one more thing here down at the bottom. Let's say, oh no, I ran out of hot dogs but I am still hungry. Back to the store. It was supermarket. Yeah. That would do anything here. Actually, instead of back to the store, let's say get some more. I need to get some more. It's at a supermarket. I think it was start my training. There we go. So let's move these over here just so we can kind of a little more clearly see the little pathways that are all going on. Boom. There we are. All right, so here's the story. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So we start up at the top, and we're keeping track of all of these variables as we move along. We're eventually going through the supermarket, going around, buying stuff. We eventually pay some money, make all the hot dogs, keep eating them. We'll eventually go to the bathroom, and stuff will happen. And keeping them until we run out. We've got to go buy some more. So let's play through this. Let me just close that out just to make sure everything's good to go. All right. So playing it from the beginning. This is the beginning of my adventure, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to read all this until we're at the very end of it, and then I'll do a dramatic reading at the end. So we're going to start the training. First, I need to go buy some hot dogs. Let's go to the supermarket. All right. The hot dog wieners are down on the left. The buns are on the right. I don't want to waste space on condiments. We're going pure numbers here. All right. So I see the wiener. Those are all there. Let's grab them. I grabbed 5 packs. I go back and get some more. I'm gonna go grab a few more. And then go back and get some buns down on the right. Let's go back and just so we have 10 and 10. Boom, boom. Time to go pay for them. All right. Total cost is that much. I'll add the word dollars next time. And we'll go from there. One thing to note is that if you do a bunch of math in the background, it does it all in line. So there are spaces here. That can be a little annoying. It just depends on the context of your story. But time to go home and make some hot dogs. We have made the hot dogs. We have 10 left to eat. So this is this one that we're going to make a little bit better in just a second. So far I've eaten 0 hot dogs. Let's keep eating. We have 10 left. I've eaten 2 and well, we can see that one is going up. Another one is broken. But as we keep clicking this goes up and up. I need to fix something right here, and we'll keep going with that. But I'm so full, I need to go to the bathroom. Much better. It's hot dog time, and we're back here with 0. This should be going down. So let's look at that. Hot dog time. See, I had this capital E here. It's gonna break some stuff. So, because it wasn't exactly the same. So let's try that one more time. See if I can go through right here. One thing to note: this is the debug mode, and you can, if you hover over the things, you can see here you're setting a variable, and here is a link. If you hover over it, you can see that the little question mark pops up, and it will say, hey, this is what it is. So if we're setting a variable, if I hover over it, you can see that we're setting money to be, we're subtracting total cost from that. So let's play this right from the beginning. Actually, nah, I actually just didn't even do what I said I was going to do. Got distracted. All right, from here, so I'm going to click on that. We have these many hot dogs left to eat. All right, so we run into one issue right here. I'm kind of experimenting a little bit in the debug mode. We see that this is dogs left, not a number nan. It just means it's not a number. Um, 62 dogs left. So let's look at how we worked our way through here. Set total cost, pay, go home. That should have done it. Let's look at this. I wanted to say play. Well, that should work. Let's just do it in normal mode and see what works. This is the fun part of live coding stuff because we get to figure out the bugs. All right, as we go along. All right, we got 5 of each. Let's pay for it. $14.25. Go home. We have 5 hot dogs to eat. All right, here we are. So, boom, boom, boom. I just need to. This is now working. It was just that 1-letter typo. I just want to move this up top so that way the numbers don't fight each other. So let's do that and move on to the next thing. All right, let's move on. I think at this point we've got an idea of how links work, how conditionals work. Not conditionals. Conditionals are next. How variables work. Now let's move on to conditionals. So mostly with this one here, but also with a few of these other things, the interface could be a little bit better. Like if I'm looking at this one, it's a little weird to have the option to go buy the hot dogs and we still have stuff on our grocery list. Like we could work some things out a little bit better. Down here, I've just listed off all the options so far, but you could theoretically click on all of them at once, and that makes no real sense in terms of progressing a story. So how can we work this out? Well, I am glad you asked. So we have what's called a conditional statement. And basically that's just the computer responding to a condition. One way we can think of it is saying, hey computer, if something is true, do this. And something that's really useful for doing that is because the keyword for using a conditional is if. So just like we have set right here, we can use if. So let's say this. We'll open up another command line and say if. And then let's say, let's say if $, what was it, dogs? Yeah. Dogs is greater than or equal to 5. That's going to be our condition. And then we just have to tell it when this statement ends by saying, opening this up another command line and saying, close the if. And that's it. So we have this test right here. If the dog's variable, whatever number is in that, is greater than or equal to 5. So if we've gone through the pick up the hot dogs list at least once, then this statement will be true. If dogs is greater than or equal to 5, we're going to execute all the code until we get to the end here. Everything else will happen automatically. We'll see this in just a second. So if I close out of there, play through the passage, let's restart that. Boom, boom. All right, I'm gonna go get the buns. We're gonna put them in the cart, and you'll notice that that now that line that I just mentioned, those 2 lines, aren't there anymore. Where we said we have this many buns and this many hot dogs. So, and I also had the link to go pay. That's not there because the hot dogs is not 5 or more. So I'm going to go back, get the hot dogs, and now we're going to, again, this is a loop. And now you can see this line right here saying, I have this many things. Time to pay and go. So you can set that up. So I'm going to tweak this statement just a little bit. That's not the right one. Put them in the cart. So if this, we can also combine and have multiple tests. We can say using the ampersand. And let's see, if $ buns is greater than or equal to 5, then we'll do this. And let's say looks like I have. Whoop, that's not what I wanted. I'm gonna put this before the conditional statement and say down here, that's everything. I want a lowercase e. I'm just making this read a little bit better. So now if we play through this, going real quick here. Start my training, go to the student. Okay, go left, get the hot dogs. It's saying, hey, we have the wieners, but not the buns. So we don't have anything else here. We could go back. We could get more of each, but let's get the buns. Did I goof that now that I'm looking at it? Hot dogs, buns to the right. All right, got that there. Now that we have at least 5, I think I got that right. At least buns and wieners here. Now we have everything. We can see that because both of them are true. So we've said if we have 5 or more packs of hot dogs and 5 or more packs of buns, both of them are true. Now we execute this code that has the link right here. So we can move on and say, all right, here's the total cost. We'd subtract that from there. Time to go home and make some hot dogs. So boom, boom, boom. Let's jump down to here. So let's add a few more conditionals right here. Keep this going. So let's say, let's see what we can do. Let's add one around this bottom statement first. Let's say if, let's see, $ dogs left is equal to 0. We're going to do this. Close if. All right. So this will kind of say, oh, if we run out of hot dogs, it, we run out of hot dogs. We need to go buy more so we can keep our training up if we still want to go. So we have that right there. We can say, let's say this. If, let's see, this was dogs 8 or hot dogs 8 $ hot dogs 8 is less than 20. I'm just picking a number. We're going to do all of this. All right. Let's do something a little different. Let's get into the next level of code. So far we've all been saying if this expression is true, do the code. We can go into the next level called an if else. And this is if this is true, run this code. If not, run this other code instead. So let's say if it's less than 20, so let's go in and say else. This should, I believe that's the right formatting. We're gonna find out. So if hot dogs 8 is less than 20, we're gonna do this. Otherwise, meaning if it's bigger than 20, or yes, 20 or bigger, we're going to get this option right here. So let's play through this real quickly just to make sure that's all up and going. I wanted to restart that. All right. From the beginning, doom, boom. Put them in the cart. Go back. Oh, that's where I got mixed up. All right. Put them in the cart. Go and pay. They cost that much. Go home. It's hot dog. We have 10 hot dogs to eat. We've eaten 0. We got 10 left to eat. Let's keep eating. Now we've got 2 and 8. This has changed. This line we still have not put inside of anything. But as we keep clicking through here, 4, 6, 8. And now we're out. Something goofed because it says we have 10. Oh, 2 left. I think I saw what happened. But now this has popped up so we can go buy some more. That takes us back to here. Get that. Get that. I'll go and get like 10 of each. Time to pay. Now it costs that much. Go home and make some. That many. Gonna keep eating. 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. And then that one popped up and we had to go to the bathroom. It's hot dog time. But we're also out. So I need to do a little bit of tweaking just to make sure that this is working properly. But as you can see, everything updated and based off of the condition, based off of the value of the variables, different things popped up. So we were able to say, you know, if we've eaten less than 20 hot dogs, we're going to keep eating hot dogs. Otherwise, we're not going to have the option to eat more, and we're going to go and go to the bathroom. All right, so let's see. So I think we get a little bit of an issue. So far, I've eaten this many hot dogs. I have this many left to eat, and then we change it here. So let's make this less than or equal to with this, and we can combine the little wedges for the less than or greater than with an equal sign to make or equal to 0, just to be a little more flexible. Because if we ever run into all of a sudden we have -1 hot dogs, we run into a bit of an issue. So if it's less than or equal to 0, we're gonna go buy some more. So let's see. Let's go to the bathroom here. It's hot dog time. Set bath counter to let's say set bath counter plus equal 1. And then I'm just going to go back towards the beginning. Actually, I'm not even going to use the mood anymore. I'll say set bath counter to 0. So now we can kind of keep track of how many times we go to the bathroom. And then let's say else. Let's make this all one big thing. Instead of closing it here, we'll say else if, I think it's one word in this format, else if hot dogs 8 is greater than or equal to 20, we're going to do this. Else if Oops, forgot my dollar sign. I'll talk about what I just typed in just a second. Sign. Bath count. Okay. So what I've typed here is the final level of conditionals. So we have the first one. If something is true, run some code. Next we have if else. If something is true, run this code. Otherwise, run this other code. We have this last one of if else if, where if something is true, run this code. Otherwise, run this other test. So if statement A does not pass the test, we're going to run a different test, see if that one works, and you can essentially chain together a bunch of if statements. So we're going to test this one out and see if it works. But we have if hot dogs ate is less than 20. If it's greater than or equal to 20, we're going to, meaning if it's 20 or more, we're going to run this. I have noticed one issue. So let's say, and hot dogs ate is, I want to say this is greater than 20. I'm sorry. Greater than 20 or less than or equal to 60. There we are. Because if one of it, we've chained together three if else if, but if the middle one is true or the first one is true, everything else gets ignored. So I've set this up so each one of these has a distinct yes or no. Because before we ran into this issue of, well, you have less than 20 or 20 or bigger. There's never going to be anything that's not in one of those two categories. So by putting an upper limit on 60, that's a lot of hot dogs. That's when we're going to get this option right here. So basically this one will be true first until it's not. Then we'll get this one here. I guess technically we could make this a lower number and it would still work, like 25, just because we're only increasing it by 2. So we actually don't even need that big of a range. So I'll shorten that, but we'll have that. So, and then eventually, this will not be true. This will not. See, I'm needing to tweak some of this because these are different variables we're using here and here. Let's just make this a separate conditional statement. That's the better way to do that. So I'll close this one, open up, and have these two separate ones right here. Okay. All right. So let's add one more thing. And $ money is greater than 15. I'm adding this in because the bare minimum with our tests that we were able to run through with buying hot dogs, I think it cost $14.25. You can't go to the store to buy more hot dogs if you don't have money to buy the hot dogs. So I've added this in as an additional test. All right here. So if we're out of hot dogs left to eat and we still have the money, we're going to go buy more. There's one more thing we can do. All right, this is the last thing. And it's related to this, being able to add in multiple tests into an if. And that's having optional ones. So we have here both this comparison and this comparison have to be true. We can use an or statement in order to make either one of them be true. So let's see. If bath count is equal to 3, or this is the vertical line again, only 2 of them right here, or let's see, if money is less than or equal to 14, say, or let's just leave it at that. Yeah, there we are. And so you can basically chain together as many of these as you need, but now instead of all of the statements having to be true, just one of them could be. So if we've gone to the bathroom more than 3 times, or we're out of money, we can't buy anything else, we can see this this last option. So let's try it. I think that'll pretty much be most of it. Ooh, actually, before I forget, let's go to start my training. Let's go to the supermarket. I'm just making sure everything's here. Let's go to the supermarket. My budget is that much money. I think I just remembered I had a type of what I needed to say under pay. Dollars. I have $, money left. All right. There we go. Let's play through this story a few times and let's experiment. Play from the beginning. All right. We're going to become the hot dog eating champion. So let's start the training. But we need to go buy some hot dogs. My budget is $1,000. Let's go to the supermarket. All right. Gotten there. Time to find the supplies. Let's see. The hot dogs. Let's grab some. All right. We got 5 packs of hot dogs. Let's go back. Let's get a bunch. In the cart. Let's get 20 hot dogs and 20 buns. Go back. Buns. Put them in the cart. Go get some buns. Put the buns in the cart. It's a little repetitive. But you'll notice after we had enough of each of them, this popped up. So now let's go pay. All right. I bought $57 worth of hot dogs. We can see my budget here left. Time to go home and make some hot dogs. All right, we're doing it, and a bunch of math happened right here, but we made our 20 hot dogs. All right. We haven't eaten any yet, though. Let's keep eating. There's a typo right here I'm going to have to play around with. Actually, let's fix that right now. Oh, this was it. Dogs left is less than or equal to 0. We don't want it to be more than. I'm going to keep going. Just ignore this line for a while. Let's keep eating. All right. We got 2. Now it's 2. This is 18. 4, 16. 6, 14. All right. We're still eating our hot dogs. A lot of hot dogs. We're going to eat them. Ugh, I'm so full. Let's go to the bathroom. We go to the bathroom. Much better. It's hot dog time. And this has caused an issue, but we see this here. And that there, so let's look at this. Bathroom, we come back. Dogs left should be 0, which is automatically less than or equal to 0. and our money is greater than 15, so that should have popped up. Let's just refresh that because, again, we changed some things. I think that was what the issue was. It just didn't refresh. So I'm going to go through this one more time, but this time a little quicker. We got 20, and now go back. You could theoretically go here now, but I'm going to make them an even number of each, because that just makes sense. One more. All right, let's go pay. $57. We have this much money left. Let's go home and make some hot dogs. It's hot dog time. We have 20 to eat. So we keep clicking on keep eating, and you'll notice the amount we've eaten has increased. The amount left is decreasing. Again, there's a little bit of a typo here because we're subtracting some stuff, so I may get rid of that. Okay, so that there. Let's just move this down low. So we'll run all the tests and then adjust the variables. So this is going to go down top to bottom, like I mentioned. So we'll do all the tests and then at the very end adjust the math. So this will fix that typo the next time we run it. But let's pretend this says 0 and that says 20. Actually, I'll say, we'll just run it again so we're there. We have the option to go to the bathroom, or that pops up because of the typo. Let's go to the bathroom. Much better. It's hot dog time. We've gone to the bathroom. We have space for hot dogs, but none left to eat, so we got to go buy some more. And we get this whole loop again. I'm not going to go through it again because it would just take a lot more time. This video is already going to be kind of long. But you can go through the supermarket. I'm going to just buy one thing of each. Pay was $14.25. We have this much left. I'm going to reduce the budget to we have this many hot dogs. Eating. I think there's a little bit of a typo here. Yeah, some of these statements are a little wonky because we can run into some negative numbers. But I think we're getting the point across in this video. I said I'm going to have to fine-tune some of these. Else if hot dogs 8. But I think we get the idea. If it's bigger, if we've eaten at least 20, or in between 20 and 22, we'll never have more than 22. We'll get that there. Dogs left is less than. We should have that option. And let's say and I'll just copy this one just so we have a few options. So actually I'll say or. So if we run out of hot dogs and we're in this bit here, we'll have a few options. That should hopefully fix a little bit of these issues as we go along. All right. I think that's going to kind of wrap out the story. I said I'd do a dramatic reading of it, so that's what I'll end the video with. But I've got this story right here. It's not the most branching of events, but it shows some interactivity. I'm going to change this to 200. And you can essentially keep buying and eating hot dogs and looping and moving to and from stuff, as long as you have the budget and ability to do so. So that's this kind of fairly basic, but also kind of complicated story. So I can't share this directly into the YouTube comments because they don't let me post all the code stuff in the description or the comments. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you again how to download these, and I'll put it up online and let you be able to access this and play with it yourself. So let's do exactly that. I'm going to publish to file, and it downloads the file. This is now a copy of this story exactly as it sits right now. If I was to go in and make any changes, it's not going to be reflected in that file I just downloaded. So keep that in mind. But I now have this separate file that you just saw pop up right there in my downloads that I can put wherever. So you'll be able to go in, download this, and then under import from file, load it into your own Twine account and check it out on your own. So let's do this one more time. I'll wrap this out with a dramatic reading of the story I've concocted in its entirety. This is the beginning of my adventure. I want to become the world's best competitive hot dog eater. It is time to start my training. But first, I need to go and actually buy some hot dogs. Let's go to the supermarket. My budget is $200. I've just gotten to the supermarket. I need to find my supplies now. See, the hot dogs are on the left and the buns are on the right. Let's grab the hot dogs. Oh yes, the wieners I enjoy are in stock. Let's put them in the cart. I now have 5 packs of wieners, but no buns. Let's go get the buns. Well, they only have whole wheat buns, so it looks like that's what I'm getting. Let's put those in the cart. Alright, that's enough hot dogs for now. We'll get some more later if we need them. Time to pay and go home. Alright, my hot dogs cost $2 per pack, and my buns cost 85 cents per pack. My total is $14.25. I have $185.75 left in my budget. Time to go home and make some hot dogs. I'm starving, but it's hot dog time. We have 5 hot dogs to eat. All right. I need to eat a lot of hot dogs in order to become the hot dog champion. So far, I've eaten 0. Let's keep eating. I've eaten 2 hot dogs. I have 3 left. Let's keep eating. I've eaten 4. I have 1 left. Let's keep eating. We're going to pretend that I didn't just summon a hot dog out of nowhere and have eaten 6 and have -1 to eat. But no matter what, oh no, I have ran out of hot dogs. I need to go get some more. And we're back at the supermarket, but now my budget is $185.75. So let's get some wieners. This time I will get 15 of each so I don't have to go back to the supermarket. 15 and 10, 15 of each. Time to pay. My total is $42.75. After all of that, I still have $143 left. Sales tax doesn't exist in this universe. Time to go home and make some hot dogs. And it's hot dog time. We have 15 left to eat. I've already eaten 8. Let's keep going. And 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Oh, I am so full. I need to go to the bathroom. Much better. You know what time it is? It's hot dog time. All right, I've freed up all that space. Let's keep eating. I still have 1 left. And this has hypothetically gone on for a while. I'm going to buy 1 more trip. Like I said, this is a very repetitive and long story. 1 more trip. Buy all of those. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'm buying enough so I definitely don't have to come back. 35, 40. Now let's get the buns. 5, 10, 20, 25, 35, 40, and 40. There we go. Time to pay and go home. I bought $114 worth of hot dogs. I have $29 left, so I could come back for more if I need to, but I really don't want to. Time to go home and make some hot dogs. I'm starving. It's hot dog time. I've also made 40 hot dogs, so I have 40 more to eat. I'm just going to click through this very quickly. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Oh, that was a bad idea. I need to go to the bathroom again. Ah, much better. And you know what time it is. All right, let's keep going. I have 22 hot dogs left. All right, 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on and so forth. Too much food. I need to go to the bathroom one more time. Much better. And there happens to be an issue with my final bit. Let's look. To go to take a nap, I'm going to make it less than or greater than or equal to 3 instead of 3 greater than, just so we don't have to go so many times now that I have less money in my budget. Well, that's going to wrap out the story. I'll jump into here. Time for bed. That was a great, I'll have to trade more tomorrow. That was a great way to spend the day. Good night. Once more, for the record, I do not condone eating that ungodly amount of hot dogs at once. There are better ways to, be unhealthy. So that'll be it. I'm going to re-download this, and I will post it all, have everything in the video that you might need, all that in the description. The timeline will be broken up into different sections. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I love seeing and answering questions, and we will move on from there. That's going to wrap it up for this video, so I will see you all the next time that I see you. Bye.